This is Corbin Smith from the Seahawks Wire. Today on our film breakdown, we're going to take a look at wide receiver Paul Richardson, who will soon be entering free agency after the expiration of his rookie contract. Richardson struggled during his first 3 seasons due to injuries and only had 51 receptions during that span. However, Richardson used a monster game in the playoffs against the Detroit Lions in the wildcard round to catapult himself into a breakthrough 2017 season, in which he caught a career-high 44 passes for 703 yards and 6 touchdowns. In this playoff game, Richardson flashed many of the skills the Seahawks thought they would see on the field when they picked him in the second round of the 2014 draft. He showcased elite track star speed, he made impressive one-handed catches, and he made difficult catches in the end zone, even if he did hold the face mask of the defender. After trading away Jermaine Kearse to the Jets in September, Richardson proved his worth, but now heading towards the free agent market coming off his best professional season, will the cap-strapped Seattle Seahawks be able to afford to bring him back? Let's revisit Richardson's monster 2017 season and see if he's worth the money for the Seahawks to sign long-term. First, let's look at the main reason the Seahawks should reconsider potentially locking up Richardson for a long-term contract. In the last 2 seasons, Richardson's catch percentage has been below 58%. Now, not all of this is on Richardson. Since his bread and butter is getting vertical, those passes tend to have a lower completion percentage to begin with. But he did have issues with drops last year, like on this slant against the Arizona Cardinals in the last game of the season. Russell Wilson throws a perfect dime, but it hits off of Paul Richardson's chest. It was one of those instances he tried to run before he actually had caught the football. In an earlier game, this is actually the season opener against Green Bay, there are some issues with some sloppy route running at times for Paul Richardson. He stumbles on this whip route, coming inside, and then he pivots. Slipping ended up making this a much tougher catch than it should have been, and it almost was intercepted. One of Richardson's worst games in the 2017 season came against the Tennessee Titans. Now, this play I'm probably nitpicking just a little bit. Paul Richardson's getting vertical. He gets past his defender, but this is really defended well by the corner. He's right in Richardson's grill, but Wilson throws a perfect pass. It doesn't show on this view, but check out the other end zone view. Russell Wilson throws a perfect strike, and it's right in Paul Richardson's hands. Again, hits him in the chest and bounces off for an incomplete pass. In that same game, Richardson running a very short slant here. This should be a near automatic completion in the NFL, but Richardson loses focus before he actually catches the football. He tries to turn upfield again, and it just bounces off of his chest again. Every receiver drops passes, but it seemed like it happened a little bit too frequently for Richardson. One last look. This play is an example when Russell Wilson's actually extending the play using his legs and mobility. Paul Richardson's actually going to change up his route. Once he has seen that Russell Wilson is bailing to the right, he starts going across, tries to get away from the defender, perfect pass, bounces off of Richardson's hands, probably should have been caught. Moving away from the flaws catching the football and running precise routes on a consistent basis, the Seahawks finally got what they really wanted when they drafted Paul Richardson, and that was an explosive big play threat. Richardson ran a sub 4.35 second 40 coming out of Colorado, entering the 2014 draft. He has elite speed, and look at the move he puts on Tayshaun Gibson, the safety for the Jacksonville Jaguars, to get in the end zone. During the Pete Carroll era, the Seahawks have always loved to take deep shots, and Richardson was supposed to be a receiver that could allow them to do that. You really didn't see that much during his first 3 seasons, partially due to injury. The Seahawks started to use him more as a deep vertical threat last season, however. One of the reasons that Richardson is such a dynamic weapon throwing the football downfield is that he adjusts to the football really well. Russell Wilson is one of the best deep ball throwers in the National Football League, but sometimes he's going to be a hair off, and this is a great example. Wilson underthrows this deep corner route, but Richardson adjusts to the football, makes a nice catch going to his knees. Richardson also showed major improvement last year, being able to find openings in zone coverage. A great example against the Tennessee Titans. He's going to be running a deep over route across the middle of the field. Russell Wilson's going to hit him in stride. He finds the soft spot. Check this out. Look at the big area there. Wilson throws it to him in stride. Big play for the Seattle Seahawks. In addition to his world-class speed, Paul Richardson's greatest asset to the Seahawks offense has been his ability to consistently win battles for jump balls. He excels at high-pointing the football and shielding off defenders so that he can make difficult catches look really easy. Great example against the Houston Texans. Russell Wilson just chucked this one downfield, up for grabs. Paul Richardson gets in front of the defender, boxes him out basically, then rises up to the high point of the football and hauls it in. This is the type of game-changing big play ability that Richardson was supposed to bring coming out of Colorado. Seattle finally got to see it last season. Since he missed nearly the entire 2015 season recovering from a torn ACL and then suffering a hamstring injury, Richardson never really got to develop chemistry with Russell Wilson. You started to see that chemistry finally come together this year. Wilson showing his trust in Richardson here against Green Bay, lofting it up, let your receiver go make a play. Richardson once again gaining position on the defensive back, sealing him off, and then rising up to get the football and catching it. In another great example of Richardson winning jump ball battles, this was a trick play the Seahawks ran against the New York Giants. Russell Wilson's going to pitch it out to J.D. McKissic, and then McKissic's going to pass it back across the field to Wilson. Wilson's then going to gun it downfield. Richardson had lulled the secondary to sleep going inside, then took off vertically. Wilson maybe could have let him a little bit more, but Richardson wins the fight with Landon Collins for the football and picks up the touchdown. Looking at one last great example of Richardson high-pointing the football. This one's actually not going to count. He didn't get both feet in bounds, but this might have been the most impressive play he did high-pointing the football all season, and it was at the 1-yard line. Russell Wilson once again showing his faith in Richardson, throwing the ball downfield, and Richardson, I don't know how he even got his hands on this football, and he nearly got his feet in bounds. Check this out from the end zone view. Wilson's going to step back, play action real quick, throws the football downfield, and Richardson reaches up, and it almost looked like he got it with one hand there, but didn't get both feet down. That last near catch was actually a perfect segue to our next positive for Paul Richardson, and that's his body control and ability to make tough catches on the sidelines. Teammate Doug Baldwin has made this his calling card, making these tough catches, keeping his feet in bounds, but Paul Richardson's nearly as good at it, really has made a lot of improvement in that area of his game during the course of his 4 seasons in the NFL so far. Here against the San Francisco 49ers, Richardson's going to go in motion across the formation, and he's going to run downfield. After about 20 yards, he's going to cut outside on a deep out. Wilson throws it right on the money. Tiptoe by Richardson. Beautiful catch. For the casual fan, this might not look like anything special. It's a simple out route. But look at the concentration and the body control to get your feet down while you're flying out of bounds. Making catches like these are about body control, but it's also about focus and field awareness. Against Green Bay, Richardson does a nice job selling the vertical, and after 15 yards, he's going to make a hard stop, and he's going to go into a comeback route. And check out what he does with his feet here from the end zone camera. It's more visible. On this throw from Wilson, it's going to be on the money. These are timing-based throws, and Wilson does a really good job, especially being under duress, gets the football to him, and Richardson puts emphasis on the toe tap. One of the major prerequisites for playing wide receiver for the Seahawks, you have to be able to continue working when the play breaks down, because Russell Wilson is so good at ad-libbing pass plays, scrambling out of the pocket, and keeping plays alive. On this play against San Francisco, Wilson does a really good job avoiding multiple 49ers pass rushers. Seeing that Wilson had kept the play alive, Richardson does a great job adjusting his route and going back towards the sideline, giving Wilson a small window to throw the football, and once again, Richardson does a great job getting both feet in bounds for the touchdown. Looking at one last great example of Richardson being persistent and keeping the play alive while his quarterback is scrambling, running for his life against the Houston Texans. This is one of Richardson's better games this season. Houston's going to get immediate pressure, and it forces Russell Wilson to bail out to the left. Richardson, who was originally running a fade, sees Wilson scrambling, cuts across the end zone. Wilson hits him for a touchdown. Though he's barely over 180 pounds, the biggest myth about Paul Richardson, a lot of people think he lacks toughness, but he regularly makes catches while getting blasted in the middle of the field. He absorbs contact extremely well. The dude also played in a game this year where he had the bone poking through the skin on his finger, ended up returning to the game. So nobody should be questioning his toughness. Great example against the San Francisco 49ers here, running a 10-yard hitch, quick throw. He's going to be hit immediately, still manages to hold on to the football. So he's very tough at the point of the catch. In fact, it looks like the San Francisco 49ers DB might have even gotten a hand on the football, but Richardson still managed to catch it. For being a player that's got a fairly lengthy injury history, Richardson plays the game with no fear, and that can be seen on a lot of the routes that he runs. A lot of times Seattle will have him playing the slot, and he'll be running slants right into the teeth of the defense. Here against Atlanta is a great example. He makes the catch with multiple defenders bearing down on him. He makes the catch and then immediately gets down. He's learned to catch the football and then get down. Don't take too much of the contact in the middle of the field. Looking at one last major positive that should give Seattle reason to consider signing the young Richardson to an extension is his slipperiness in the open field. He makes guys miss. Everybody knows about his elite speed, but he actually is pretty elusive in open field. First example coming against the Washington Redskins. Is too bad this did not lead to a game-tying field goal. Blair Walsh ended up missing it, but Richardson does a nice job. He's going across the field, catches the football, and then pivots back to the middle of the field, picks up close to 10 more yards before he quickly gets down to allow Seattle the opportunity to kick the field goal. In some ways, Richardson's kind of like a snake. He's very slithery in open field. Doesn't look like he's going to juke you, but he's got some of that shake and bake action going. This is a simple 5-yard in route, throw to Richardson. Watch him make the corner miss. He picks up an additional 3 yards. That allows him to move the chains for a first down. And to wrap up this film breakdown, let's look at toughness meeting elusiveness for Paul Richardson. In my opinion, his finest play as a Seattle Seahawk, and one that other teams, if they watch it, they're probably going to want to throw more money at him than Seattle can pay to re-sign him. Watch him make the catch and then bounce off multiple tacklers, picks up a big chunk of yards after the catch.